Bachelor Clayton Echard reveals why he dumped Rachel Recchia again. August 9, 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation news fans. Former Bachelor lead Clayton Echard is revealing why he dumped Rachel Recchia all over again. She made it to the final 2 on his season, and then he ditched her and Gabby Windey for Susie Evans. They have since reconnected, but it was extremely short-lived. So, what was the reason? Keep reading for more details. Clayton Echard reveals why he dumped Rachel Recchia again. When Clayton Echard's season of The Bachelor aired, it ended quite dramatically. He had taken Susie Evans, Gabby Windey, and Rachel Recchia to the end with him. Yet Susie was sent home as she was uncomfortable with him being involved with other women. After he had his time with Rachel and Gabby, he realized that he wanted to be with Susie and ended things with his final 2. Fans have not been crazy about Clayton over the years, and now he has filled them with more disdain. Both Clayton and Rachel ended up on Season 3 of Netflix's The Perfect Match. View this post on Instagram. A post shared by Scoop at bachelornation.scoop. As of now, The Bachelor alum understands why viewers are unhappy with him. However, it does not make the experience any easier. Time had passed since Clayton and Rachel were last together, so maybe things could have been different. Unfortunately, it just wasn't there, and Clayton Echard was not going to lead Rachel on any longer. At the same time, the humiliation she felt made her want to exit The Perfect Match. Have his feelings been validated? After Clayton Echard spilled the tea on why he dumped Rachel Recchia for a second time, did Bachelor fans understand him, or were they over what he had to say? Many felt that Clayton does not care for the others around him and is just a self-absorbed person. Clayton is still self-absorbed and unaware of anyone's feelings. He has not changed, and he said a whole lot of nothing. He didn't need to match with Rachel, period. Classic victim blaming after he pulls the rug out from under her a 3rd time. At this point, no one is buying what Clayton is selling, so it will take a lot more to prove that he was right in this situation. Do you think that the Bachelor alums should have rekindled or let it go? Let us know your thoughts and stream The Perfect Match on
love
Netflix.
Stories don't end with a broken heart. They end with a decision that no one saw coming. In a world where millions watch you fall in love on television, what happens when you choose to walk away again? Tonight, we step into the quiet, complicated truth behind Clayton Echard's decision to part ways with Rachel Recchia for the 2nd time. This isn't about gossip. This is about choices and the courage it takes to make them, even when the world doesn't understand. Point 1. The unfinished story. For many, Clayton and Rachel's journey ended the night the final rose was handed out. But for those who've been following closely, you know their story didn't stop there. After the cameras faded, after the champagne glasses were cleared, and after the Instagram captions stopped flowing, they found themselves at a crossroads again. This time, away from the lights, away from the scripts, away from the producers. Clayton made the same decision twice, and he's finally telling us why. But before we hear the words from his own lips, we have to go back, because the real answer starts long before the 2nd goodbye. Point 2. A history written in public. The first time Clayton and Rachel met, it wasn't just 2 people meeting, it was 2 narratives colliding. She was the grounded pilot from Florida with a quiet determination, and he was the former NFL hopeful turned bachelor, searching for something real in a world where every glance, every sigh, every touch is broadcast to millions. For older generations, watching The Bachelor can feel like peeking into a whirlwind of young love, fast, intoxicating, and risky. But at its heart, it's still 2 human beings trying to figure out if they fit. And back then, their fit seemed promising until it didn't. Point 3. The first breakup. The first breakup was televised, a very public wound. She accused him of leading her on, he admitted to mistakes, and Bachelor Nation divided into 2 camps. Some said he didn't know what he wanted. Others claimed he knew all along, but couldn't say it without breaking the illusion. For many of you watching, you'll remember a time in your own life when you had to end something, even though the world expected you to keep it going. It hurts, yes, but there's something worse than pain, living in a story that isn't yours anymore. And that's exactly where Clayton found himself again, but this time it was even harder to explain. Point 4. The quiet reunion. Months after their first split, life surprised them both. No cameras, no scripts, just two people meeting over coffee, the way it should have been from the start. It wasn't a grand reconciliation, it was a quiet one. A text, a conversation, a slow rebuilding of trust. Rachel had grown, Clayton had changed, and in those early months there was hope, the kind of hope that makes you think, maybe, just maybe, the ending you got the first time was wrong. But here's the thing about hope. It's only as strong as the truth underneath it. Point 5. The cracks resurface. Clayton says the warning signs didn't come in an argument. They didn't come in a fight or a betrayal. They came in silence. Those moments in a relationship where you realize you're no longer talking about the future in the same way. Rachel wanted stability. Clayton wanted exploration. She pictured a settled life in one city. He imagined moving, chasing opportunities. They both wanted love, but love isn't enough when your visions pull in opposite directions. Point 6. The conversation that changed everything. One rainy evening they sat down, not as a bachelor couple, not as exes, but as two people who once thought they'd found their forever. Clayton told her, "I don't think we're walking the same path anymore." No cameras, no audience, just truth. The same truth he'd faced before, but now even harder to speak aloud. Because this time there was no scandal, no betrayal, just the quiet realization that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go. Point 7. The real reason. So why did Clayton dump Rachel again? In his own words, "Because I didn't want to stay just because the world thought we should. I wanted to love her honestly or not at all." It wasn't about mistakes. It wasn't about the past. It was about refusing to live a half-truth. And perhaps that's something we can all understand, whether you're 25 or 65. Love must be real, or it isn't love at all. Point 8. The ripple effect. Bachelor Nation is still processing it. Fans are split. Some say he's selfish. Others say he's wise. But here's what no one can deny. Clayton has done what so few dare to do: walk away from a comfortable story in search of the right one. And as for Rachel, her journey is far from over. In fact, her next move may just surprise everyone. In the end, we're reminded of this. Love is not about staying to prove a point. It's about staying because your soul feels at home. And if it doesn't, you have the right to go, even twice. Next time, we uncover what Rachel plans to do now, and trust me, it's not what anyone expected. Fade to black. Next time, we uncover what Rachel plans to do now, and trust me, it's not what anyone expected.
Clayton stood with 3 women, Rachel Recchia, Gabby Wendy, and Susie Evans, and admitted something unprecedented. He had fallen in love with all 3. He sent Susie home, but just moments later, reconsidered. This emotional whiplash shattered Rachel's world. During the final rose ceremony, Clayton tearfully told both Rachel and Gabby he couldn't continue. His heart simply didn't allow him to go forward in their direction. Rachel, devastated yet fierce, vowed, "I'm not going to just stop loving you. This is going to haunt you." She was raw, honest, and unwavering. On After the Final Rose, she confronted him face to face, calling the experience the most completely selfish journey, accusing him of disrespect, and declaring she no longer believed him, even questioning whether his "I love you" was authentic or just a means to an end. Hollywood Life, Parade, Reddit. Cliffhanger. But what happens when fate gives them a second chance? Let's see how their paths crossed again, with new stakes and deeper realizations. Point 2. Reunion and healing. A conversation that mended a wound.
Narrator. Flash forward to early 2023, nearly a year after the tearful finale. Clayton and Rachel reunited off-camera. They came together not for romance, but for healing. Clayton called the talk so powerful. For Rachel to say, "I don't hold this against you any longer," it was a moment of forgiveness both needed. Parade, Reddit. People.com. Cliffhanger. Though they discussed the possibility of dating again, Rachel made it clear she wasn't interested, and Clayton accepted it with grace. Instead, they opted for something rare on reality TV, friendship. Parade, Reddit. Cliffhanger. Could that have been the end of their story? Not quite. Enter Netflix's Perfect Match, a villa where old wounds and new opportunities would collide again. Point 3. Perfect Match reunion. Sparks, then a gut-wrenching decision. In 2025, the Netflix series Perfect Match reunited them. Rachel and Clayton locked eyes again, on camera this time. Within hours, they matched for a date. Emotions surged and memories turned vivid again. But in a twist, Clayton said that when he woke up the next morning, something inside him had shifted, a pit in my stomach. His intuition screamed this was wrong. So he ended the relationship before it began, in as swift a move as possible to minimize pain. Yahoo Lifestyle, People.com, +1. Cliffhanger. Why would someone walking back into familiar warmth suddenly withdraw so decisively? The answer lies deeper, with intentions, intuition, and personal alignment. Point 4. The real reason. Intuition, compatibility, and context. Narrator. During interviews, Clayton revealed the full truth. The breakup wasn't about drama, it was about gut feeling. He said certain conversations in private, paired with his inner sense, convinced him this isn't going to work. He simply knew their lifestyles and mindsets no longer aligned. Saying it out loud wasn't suitable for public consumption, as some truths are meant to stay private. Reality TV world, Sportskeeda, People.com. Cliffhanger. So where does that leave both of them and the fans who watched their love story stumble? The final act reveals clarity, closure, and unexpected grace. Point 5. Reflections and resilience. What their story teaches us. Narrator. For Rachel, giving Clayton a second chance wasn't about romance. It was about closure. She always wondered, what if? Perfect Match gave her an answer, and she found peace. People.com, +1. Yahoo Lifestyle. For Clayton, the arc, from the chaotic finale to heartfelt healing and then intuitive clarity, reflects growth. He said, "I was accidentally chaotic, but now I understand my emotional maturity has evolved." His story is about owning mistakes, evolving, and most remarkably, doing the right thing, even when painful. Their journey, rocky, raw, and ultimately real, is both a cautionary tale and a testament. Love doesn't always win, and sometimes letting go is the bravest path forward. Conclusion, final cliffhanger, and call to action. Approximately 2 minutes. Narrator. So why did Clayton Echard walk away from Rachel Recchia twice? The first time, he pursued what felt true, only to be pulled toward another love. The second time, it was instinct, self-awareness, and honesty with both himself and Rachel. Pause. Soft orchestral swell. Their story is not about blame or betrayal. It's about growth, courage, and the emotional maturity to choose what's right, not what feels good in the moment. And in doing so, they earned something rare, true closure. Narrator. Gentle exhale. If this story resonated with you, if it stirred something raw and real, stay with this channel. We have more heartfelt love stories, life lessons, and truth you won't see coming. Until next time, may your heart always find clarity in the chaos.